played out here at Wembley, of course, this afternoon. Now the teams are about to arrive here, and I've been rejoined up here by Bob Wilson. And Jimmy Hill's come in, having been talking to the fans. Jimmy, outside, I believe. And here comes United. Some tickets going at exorbitant prices, I believe, outside, weren't they?
Yes, Des. I spoke to one lady who'd paid £300 for a £10 ticket, just an ordinary housewife. She had the money, and then there were one or two supporters of Crystal Palace out there, all painted up like Red Indians, perfectly peaceful, had come to buy their way in, but they couldn't afford the £250 each for £10 tickets that were being asked. And they said, would we make it public so that they will know? And they talked about the names of clubs, which I won't reveal, being stamped on the back of the tickets that were being sold on block.
They were the source of those tickets.
Exactly.
The clubs. Yeah. Right, there's the man, Alex Ferguson, who's won the Scottish Cup a few times with Aberdeen, but this, he says, is the most important day of his life.
Every time we've been on before, there's been talk about him being sacked, Des, if you remember, as we've gone through the Cup victories, and each time not only he survived, but now in his day of glory.
This is, of course, the first Saturday Cup match for Manchester United this year. They played on Sundays all the way through, and we followed them all the way through.
Yeah.
There's Mark Hughes, who hasn't yet scored in the Cup run this season.
He's not my favourite player, Mark Hughes. I don't know about Bob on that. You know, I think so many moves break down on him for United. So much will depend on him being in form this afternoon.
They tend to leave him up the front by himself, rather, and pack the midfield. And where his strength is, he scores, of course, goals out of nothing. At the same time, he misses good chances. He seems to want to knock the casing off the ball every time, Mark Hughes. But he does either score absolutely fantastic goals or rather squander some useful chances.
Have him as 7-1 favourite to score today.
Well, if he's not scored so far, there's a good chance he might do
John
it.
Motson? He's not playing, is he?
Yeah. John Motson with Brian McClare there. He's getting his last facts and figures correct, isn't he, Motty?
He hasn't got one of their suits, has he?
Probably.
John, of course, our match commentator today. Those pictures of them arriving recorded just now. And this is the Crystal Palace players and the Crystal Palace captain there on the pitch, and Steve Coppell. And that's Ian Wright. Now, will he play? Will he start the match? The teams haven't yet been confirmed. Do you expect him to, Bob?
I think he should play, Des. I really do. I think that the combination, that Bright and Wright combination, has been so important to Palace in getting back into the First Division in the playoff stage last year. And I really believe that, I mean, he wouldn't be playing in a reserve team game and getting through it and scoring a goal in the past week or so. And I think it's very, very important for Palace this afternoon. I think United will be worried about it.
Now, I ought to just point out they're the England lady players who've been playing a little exhibition match here against Scotland, and clearly they're well known to the Crystal Palace boys. We've been talking about underdogs, haven't we? We've talked about Crystal Palace as the underdogs, but in a sense, it's a misnomer, isn't it? Because they've beaten United in the league
and they've drawn
with them.
And also, they're on exactly the same points in the First Division at the end of the season. So the only reason it's called underdogs today, Palace, is the fact that they cost possibly £3 million and come from South London, and Manchester United cost 11, 12,000. Yeah, 11, 12,000. You're only talking about the size of the club in the mind, but as regards, I don't think there's an underdog today in terms of current form at all.
Their records say that both teams are entitled to win the match, and both teams could lose it today. I think it'll be very close.
And of course, if you're talking about underdogs, the underdogs have got a super record here in recent seasons, haven't they?
They have.
Wimbledon with Coventry, etc.
Yeah.
First-timers, both those clubs were first-timers, and for Crystal Palace it's first-timers as well. This is very important for the Crystal Palace lads, because only one, really, Andy Thorne, who played with Wimbledon a couple of seasons ago, knows about this pre-match, going out there, getting a feel of the surface, getting used to the atmosphere. A lot of people say, well, will they freeze? Well, Coventry didn't freeze and Wimbledon didn't freeze, and I really don't expect these lads to freeze at all either.
they're too busy to freeze because their manager will have them so hyped up, looking upon themselves to an extent as the less glamorous side, if not underdogs, to run until they drop for the Palace cause. I mean, that's what they did against Liverpool, and they wore them down. They would not be beaten in the end. But a very interesting point you make about picking players who've recently been injured. Going back to the 1982 World Cup, when Ron Greenwood didn't start with Trevor Brookie and Kevin Keegan, two of our star players at that time, and brought them on at a point where we'd already got behind. I think it's very important psychologically to play your best team first, if they've got through a reserve game, as Bob says. Don't disappoint the enemy. Put your most frightening side out to start with. Then if they break down, then bring in the substitutes.
Well, whatever, it'll be a lifetime's experience for all these Crystal Palace players today, Bob, won't it?
It's just an amazing day, Des. It remains, I think, in the sporting calendar. OK, I'm a footballing man, but it is very difficult to describe. I know just leaving home today, and my wife tends to be a footballing lady, but she had a knot in her stomach. It's cup final day. There is a special thing about it. I think the stadium has become a great stadium, you know. People talk about us finding a new national stadium. All seated here. I honestly believe that pitch is without equal anywhere at the moment, don't you, Jim?
They have done a splendid job. The pitch now is, as it was, admired by everyone in the world for its grass. You know, there's nowhere better to find decent grass than in England. But it did deteriorate after the horses for many, many years, and that's now back to its best. And if you walk round the stadium, it begins to look like the American stadia. You know, plenty of bars, plenty of hamburgers, hot dogs and things for the public. Good service, in other words.
Bob made the point right at the start of the programme. It's worth repeating, I think, Bob, your point about the goal mouths, because people might not have been with us right from the start. There's lush grass, as you say, in those goal mouths, and it could be a bit slippery today.
Well, and plus the fact there was a little bit of drizzle early on, and also they had the sprinklers on only for a short time. I've been watching very carefully. There's not much wind around there at the moment. It might have dried out a little bit, but it is so lush, Des, that it's very close to an artificial pitch. So perfect does it? It really is. It's a
You're not going on the side of artificial pitches now.
I'm certainly not doing
that.
It's
so perfect, it's nearly artificial.
Yes, but when the ball is struck on that today, if it's struck with anything like pace, from the goalkeeping point of view, it really will gather pace. It'll zip off there. It'll stay very low. It won't be an awkward bounce. I really expect
Isn't it funny how goalkeepers look upon what can go wrong with their cause, and I think as a forward, if you hit it well, you might get a bit of help.
Do you think that seasoned internationals, Brian Robson and people like that, and players like Thomas and that we see there, do you think that they really get up that this is a different game, the cup final, from any other, from an international match perhaps, or from an important league match? Do you think they find it as different as we think they do?
Yeah, not from a World Cup match, because I don't think there's anything more important in a player's career than playing in that competition. But I would think second to that, Bob, this is next.
I think it is, really. I think the cup final remains when you are a little boy, and there are millions of little boys around the country whose dream eventually is to walk out at Wembley Stadium in May and hopefully go up and collect the gold medal. And the other reason behind the stadium being such a great arena is all the dramas that have occurred over the years. I didn't play in World Cup finals, Jim, so I think you're probably right. Playing for your country in a World Cup final must be supreme. But for a one-off occasion, this matches anything in the world.
I might have called Wallace Thomas just now. I think I had a mental block, did I?
Yes, I think Danny Wallace and Ince, they had a shot of Danny Wallace and Ince. I personally believe they are so important to Manchester United today, Des. I really think that they are almost very much a key to United playing well.
The pitch does encourage good football, and it encourages players with pace who can take somebody on. I mean, it should be perfect for players who want to run with the ball like Wallace. I mean, the stage is set for a player of his ability, and like players. But Palace will try. They're not short of skill in their players, individual people who can take on a man and lick them and start something going.
What about the goalkeepers today? I mean, I tried to draw Dennis Law on that a little earlier, but he was quite jokey in his response. But I mean, Martin had that wonderful semi-final. Leighton has been the subject of a little bit of criticism throughout the season. What do you think about
I've probably
that
seen
today?
more of Nigel Martin than anybody, because he's playing for Bristol Rovers. I think Fulham only scored once against Bristol Rovers when he's been in goal, and I've seen all those matches, and he is quite spectacular. He is a goalkeeper that will take your breath away. And obviously, Jim Leighton, you know, an international player, must have quality, but everybody says he's suspect.
More from you in a moment.
Gary O'Reilly of Crystal Palace, how does the atmosphere compare to what you expected?
It's great. I mean, there seems to be a lot of Crystal Palace support in here, and for only 14,000 people, I think they've done brilliantly, especially down on the approach to the stadium as well.
And another goal like yours in the semi-final, that would do you nicely today?
It would indeed, it would.
The team, the Palace team, as I understand it, the same as the semi-final, with Ian Wright and David Madden on the bench.
I believe so, yes.
So you're a happy man at this moment, looking forward to it? Bit nervous?
Yeah, a bit nervous, but we, you know, got so much to concentrate on, you haven't got time for nerves.
Gary O'Reilly, thank you very much, all the best.
Thank you.
Well, Neil Webb, it's been quite a turnaround for you, hasn't it? Achilles injury, and look as though you're out of the game for a long time, and here you are at Wembley final.
Yeah, it's been a long, hard struggle to get my fitness back, and I believe now that I've done that, I've got the biggest stage in the British game to prove it. It was something that kept us going through a disastrous league season this year, and it'd be nice if we could finish the season how we started it.
How many senior games have you actually played after that 6 months absence?
This will be my ninth. So,
Wembley has a tradition of sapping players' strengths. The grass is quite long.
yeah, it has that, but once you get here at Wembley, in the atmosphere here, no matter if it's cup final or playing for England, I mean, your fitness shouldn't really be a worry, and you should be able to fly through the game, because it goes very quickly. So I'm really looking forward to it, and I've got a bit to prove to people that I am back, and hopefully I can do that today.
Particularly Bobby Robson.
Particularly that, I'm still fighting for my place in the squad to get to Italy, so that's another target I've got to aim for at the end of the game.
Have a good game.
Thank you very much, Tony. Cheers.
John Pemberton of Crystal Palace. Mixed emotions for you. You were a United supporter not so long ago.
Yeah, that's right. If I wouldn't have been playing here today, I'd have been stood up there with them lads. It's a fantastic day really for everybody, isn't it?
You're not going to be short of support, it doesn't look like.
No, it doesn't look like. We've just been down the bottom there, and we didn't get a lot of tickets, but they're going to make enough noise, so hopefully they can cheer us through.
And for a player who spent some years in the lower divisions, it's an even bigger day, surely.
Oh, of course it is, yeah. I mean, I've put around the 4th division like a lot of our players have done. But like we had chances to play in the 1st division, and we've all took that, and this is a highlight really of the whole season we've had.
And Jeff Thomas, the captain, that's something you share with John, experience in the lower divisions?
Oh yes, to say of 2 years ago, asked me and John where we'd like to be. You know, obviously we say Wembley, but to be actually turn out here for Crystal Palace today is something special for everybody.
You said to me yesterday you couldn't really take it in, you were there, and that's why you weren't so nervous. You take it in now?
I'll definitely take it in, but I'm enjoying it. It's not got to me yet. You know, the nerves are obviously tingling, but I mean, before every game you get nervous, but I mean, it's hopefully, you know, everything goes well for us today.
Try and enjoy it, both of you. Thanks very much indeed. All the best.
Well, Mark Robbins, the decision from Alec Ferguson is that you take the substitutes shirt. Are you disappointed?
No, not really. I'm just glad to be involved in the 13. I just want to make the most of the day and hope we win.
Have you been at Wembley before?
I have, yes. 1986, I was here with England, or Lillishall, under 16s. We won 3-2, so hopefully we can continue to win.
It's a bit of a big occasion today, isn't it? What are your feelings when you walk out here now?
It's unbelievable. I mean, you just got to experience it for yourself, and it's really my first time playing in front of such a big crowd, so hopefully everything will go well.
A lot of players do freeze on this occasion. It's a bit awe-inspiring, isn't it?
When you first walk out it is, but I think once you get playing, it all seems to go away because you're concentrating on the game.
I suppose your dream last night was coming on as sub and scoring the winning goal, was it?
Not really, no. I don't tend to dream about things, so just try and keep things off my mind until the actual day.
Final thought, how many members of your family are here?
I think there's about 24. We've only got 24 tickets this year.
Have a good day, Mike.
All right, thanks a lot.
Andy Thorne of Crystal Palace, how does it compare to 2 years ago with Wimbledon?
Yeah, it's great day. We can take a lot more in this time, and the fans have been brilliant, and we're just looking forward to it.
And do you have deep down any fears at all?
Not really. I mean, if we go about our business, we should be okay, you know.
And what are the folks saying to you? You've got family in the crowd here?
I've just been looking for them, but I can't find them. They'll probably give them some stick afterwards, but no, as I say, it's going to be a great day, and we're going to turn in a good performance, I hope.
And the important thing is to take it all in.
That's right. I mean, don't rush about, and, you know, hopefully we can enjoy ourselves.
Andy Thorne, all the best. Thank you very much indeed.
Good luck to Newcastle tomorrow as well. I hope they get a result. Cheers.
Okay.
Well, he's done it once already with Wimbledon, of course, a couple of seasons ago. It sounds, from what they're saying, as though Ian Wright won't start the match for Crystal Palace, but we'll have confirmation of the teams in due course. Two very different clubs involved in this 1990 Cup final. Let's go behind the scenes a little of both of them.
Manchester United isn't just another football club, it's an empire. Old Trafford is a shrine insured for £30 million. A full house of 50,000 spectators means gate receipts of £250,000. And for the players lucky enough to pull on the famous red shirts, no creature comfort is denied. This club's sense of place, sense of permanence, is even cemented into the dressing room tiles. Manchester United's stage has been graced by some of the game's finest gladiators.
Players are losing this ball in the sun, but it was Best who picked up that kid flick. Driven wide. Yes! Still Morgan, Gowling, Law! Oh, yes!
Best playing the pass as he was moving. Charlton going for a 1-2 and getting it! Oh, what a goal!
Best, Law and Charlton weaved magic on United's field of dreams, and every player who treads this turf has a deep-rooted commitment to Manchester United, even the rival cup final manager.
Well, obviously with my connections over the years, I have a very warm feeling for the club. I just think it's the biggest and the best. Everyone talks about sleeping giants, but this club is a giant full stop.
The worldwide fame and glamour of Manchester United is unlikely to inhibit Crystal Palace today, but it's typical of the FA Cup's magic that a club so utterly different to United could be their opponents at Wembley. And were the Cup to return to unpretentious Selhurst Park, well, they'd be buying the silver polish for the first time in their history. The failure to win just about anything is the biggest contrast with United. But every club, whatever its traditional status, has had its heroes, of course, even if in Palace's case they've tended to be of the less expensive variety.
Hughes wants to set himself up and down. Oh, what a goal! Craven, Rodgers away. Lawson off his line, he's made it! You can't ask for a better start than that!
That was Wilkins who fell. And Whittle who benefited. Swindlehurst going through the middle. Here's Taylor again, and Palace now is stretching Chelsea. Chatterton's going inside again. There he is. On again for Taylor. Well, this man may well have won the tie in the space of 2 minutes.
More people climb this spiral staircase at Old Trafford each year to visit the Manchester United Museum than attend 2 Crystal Palace home games. 35,000 of them from 64 different countries who come to gaze into Manchester United's history. There are shirts, old and new, the silverware from 6 FA Cup triumphs, 7 league titles. 330 different exhibits in all.
Just recently we had some people in from New York State. The chap who called was actually born in Salford, just a couple of miles away. And he wanted to come and see his roots, and they'd gone. The house where he was born had been demolished. But while he was in the area, he had to go and see the famous Manchester United. And yet he'd lived in America from being a child. So it's, I think that illustrates the drawing power of the club.
Most prominent in the wall-to-wall mural is the face of the man under whose stewardship the club aspired to greatness. Sir Matt Busby came to Old Trafford in the dark post-war years, when crowds wrapped around the ground like fingers were hungry for success. There was an FA Cup success in 1948, a First Division title in 1952. And then a team christened the Busby Babes took the title again in '56.
The right wing, Black will defend, trying the offside game. Berry going through with it by himself. Cross it comes and Farms made a perfect hit. That's it. It's a fake hit. It's a goal. It's a goal. This is the goal that should give them the championship.
The double was missed at Wembley the following year by the first of several cruel twists of fate.
Saul. McFarlane. And that was a fair charge, but unfortunately their heads have collided. And both McFarlane and Wood are out. Smith. Once again it's Whelan and once again it's Smith. Now Dixon. McFarlane is a goal by McFarlane.
Next season, the Babes were on the threshold of European triumph in the semi-final of the Champions Cup, but the fates conspired otherwise. The Munich air crash killed half the team, evoking worldwide sympathy and laying the foundations for the legend that Manchester United have become.
It was a terrible, terrible experience, and the last thing I thought at the time would be that I'd ever be associated with football again. It was a good job I went back and forced myself to go back, because I become occupied and I got this obsession again that Manchester United were going to the top.
They did, winning the FA Cup in 1963 and 2 more league titles before a memorable night in 1968 when they became the first English team to win the European Cup.
Charlton in the middle, so too is Aston. Charlton! Another! He's got another! Manchester United have done it!
It remains Manchester United's finest moment.
Crystal Palace actually began life in more glamorous surroundings than United. Playing in the shadow of the famous glass exhibition centre, staff who worked there made up the team. But while the football ground survived and indeed played host to FA Cup finals around the turn of the century, the original Crystal Palace FC didn't. The 1914 final was played in front of George V. Burnley and Liverpool were the finalists. Burnley won. Meanwhile, a new palace had been born elsewhere. Any thoughts of returning to their old home